So one thing I like to encourage people is there's a lot of people on the fence about if they need orientation mobility training, and they're not quite sure if they need it, or there's some fear or hesitation, which is understandable. But really, if you're even kind of on the fence about it, it's worth just meeting with an orientation mobility specialist or instructor just to talk to somebody and kind of see if there's anything they can do that might help and make you a little bit more independent. So
Hi everyone, it's Carrie from Live Accessible, and today on the Blind and Visually Impaired YouTuber Spotlight, we have Mike from Blind on the Move. So welcome, Mike. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be here talking with you. And how are you doing?
Doing great. So you recently started your YouTube channel. How long has it been since then?
Yeah, so I started my channel about 6 months ago, so it's a pretty new channel. I started it a little before we came through all the lockdowns started here in the United States. So I was actually starting it before then, but because of the lockdown, I was able to really get a good amount of time to spend on that and work on it. But not very long, about 6 months.
Wow. So could you tell everybody, like, what kind of videos do you make?
Yeah, so I am a orientation and mobility specialist, and I work in the state of New Hampshire for an organization called Future Insight. And the videos I make are really orientation and mobility related. I saw there was really kind of a need for videos to really help people, so I said maybe I'm the one who should make some. So that's kind of where I got started. With the idea, but it's what I do for a living. I teach orientation mobility in person, but I also want to do the video side as well.
It's great because, especially now with lockdown, can't always go out and get O&M instruction. And also for people like me, that the last time I got O&M instruction was like in high school, and that was a really long time ago. And I just watched your videos, and I'm like, oh, did my O&M instructor teach me that? And she probably did, and I just don't remember.
Right.
And it's a really good way to refresh, or even just people that that don't know anything about O&M. That it's a great place to start if they can't see an O&M specialist right now.
Right, exactly.
So what made you, what's your goal? Why did you choose to make a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so at first it was really just to help some of my clients who I was working with in lockdown, be able to reach them and teach them something. But the more I've been doing it, I've just realized from people's comments and people messaging me and things that it's really helping a lot of people. And that's really what my goal of the channel is to be able to help maybe some of the people who don't have a mobility instructor nearby, or they have, like you, received training a long time ago and just kind of need a refresher. And that's kind of really what I'm looking to do, is just kind of meet that need and help people. And I'm also trying to just spread awareness just to everyone, to the general public, what orientation mobility is and how it's a kind of important and necessary kind of profession, as well as service for people. Because most people, pretty much every one of my friends, had no idea what it is. So as a way of kind of reaching them too, this is what I do and this is kind of what I teach, was another kind of reason for the channel. So that's kind of the two really main reasons I started the channel.
Yeah, that's true. If you go to somebody that doesn't know anything about blindness or being visually impaired, you say, I'm an O&M instructor. Well, what in the world is O&M? And then even if you say orientation and mobility, they're probably going to scratch their head and be like, what is that?
Right, exactly.
But I think one of my favorite videos that you made was, I don't remember what it's called, but when somebody tries to grab you, that technique that you can use. I'm like, I never thought of that. I'll put a little clip of that right here for you guys. You can watch that.
Unfortunately, many well-meaning sighted people who are trying to help someone who's blind or vision impaired will just physically grab the person without asking and try and pull or drag them to a destination or even across the street. And this really should not happen. So if anybody ever tries to grab you without asking or without you wanting them to grab you, you can use this technique I'm about to demonstrate called Heinz break. I'm going to have my nephew here grab onto me. and like he's pulling me. So right now he grabbed onto my right arm with his left arm. He's standing on my right side. So for the Heinz brake technique, the first thing you want to do is make sure your feet are planted in the ground, so you got a solid base, and then you're going to bring your arm, the one that the person grabbed, across your body diagonally like this. And hopefully with that movement, the person will let go. Not necessarily, and I'll show you what to do if they don't in just a second.
And
But
also you made some videos about the WeWalk cane.
Yeah, so I've done a few different kind
Yeah.
of reviews of things. And I also thought that was an important part of the channel too, I forgot to mention, is that a lot of devices, people do review them, but I want to do it coming kind of from the professional side as well. So I think it's good from the user side, but as well as the professional side of what, as an instructor, I think of different products. So one of the first ones I started was with the WeWalk cane. And then I've done the Sunu band, so the echolocation wearable.
And it was
Yeah.
also the no jab cane. You did a video on that too.
Yeah, so I did a short clip. I got my 2-year-old daughter to help me out with that. But that's something I'd like to do more too, if I get the opportunity, is doing some more reviews of apps and different devices that are made. Because like the WeWalk cane, they're very expensive. So people want to know, is this something I should get? And I think being able to provide more information, either good or bad, on different products, kind of honestly from a professional side, I think is important. So that's part of kind of what I'm doing with the channel as well.
Absolutely, I agree. Like, at least when I get a phone or a computer or something, anything, anything at all, really, we go to YouTube and we type in what we're thinking about getting. And, you know, there's not enough videos on assistive technology and all the devices out there that's available. So more
Right.
videos on that would be so valuable. How did you get into O&M instruction in the first place? Like, how did you choose that career path?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, I'll kind of be brief. This is kind of a long story, but when I was in high school, I found out I had a rare eye disease called Coates disease. So it's pretty uncommon. Like, I've never met anybody in person who has it. Fortunately, it's normally isolated to just one eye, not all the time, but for me it was. But I went through a lot of treatments and surgeries and things, and I'm legally blind in one eye. So that kind of got me in the field a little bit, because I realized I wanted to help other people who had some vision issues. And I felt like I can be a help. So I started going that way. So then I eventually ended up working at an organization in Massachusetts, where I was helping with job coaching and job developing. So helping people find employment. I was helping run an internship there. And that was really good. But that's when I learned about orientation and mobility. And I've always been pretty active, like playing sports. I don't like really sitting behind a desk. So once I heard about that, I was like, okay, this is something I'd be interested in. So then I went to grad school at UMass Boston, got certified, got my master's, and then I started working. So that's the short version of how I got to where I am now. But I really like the profession. It's great being able to be helping people be outdoors, not stuck behind a desk. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. Like, what do you see in the future for blind moving on?
That's a good question. I'm trying. So if I were to have it my way, and we'll see if I have, with 2 young kids, it's hard to get a lot of time to do what I want to do. But I would like to make a whole resource guide for orientation mobility skills. So include videos of every technique, as well as written and picture instructions, to really kind of hit 3 different aspects of the teaching side, as a way of being a resource both for other instructors that they can share with their clients, or even review themselves different skills. And that's one thing I'd like to do. And I'd like to do some more of the reviews of different products, and really just find stuff that's actually helpful for orientation mobility. Because as you probably know, a lot of people mean well, but they make things that aren't very good and not very helpful. So instead of people spending money on that and kind of wasting their money on things, really be able to pick and choose what can actually benefit people.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. So that sounds really great. I'm definitely looking forward to your upcoming videos, and I really encourage everybody to go check out his channel. So, Mike, as a wrap-up question, and I ask this to everybody that I interview, what
Yeah.
is one piece of advice or encouragement you would give to somebody blind or visually impaired?
Yeah. So one thing I like to encourage people is there's a lot of people on the fence about if they need orientation mobility training, and they're not quite sure if they need it, or there's some fear or hesitation, which is understandable. But really, if you're even kind of on the fence about it, it's worth just meeting with an orientation mobility specialist or instructor just to talk to somebody and kind of see if there's anything they can do that might help and make you a little bit more independent. So my kind of encouragement is really don't be afraid, and really be an advocate for yourself, and reach out to your local kind of blindness organization. Hopefully they have an orientation mobility specialist, and most do. So that's kind of my recommendation. Yeah, that's what I would, that's my advice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done like a few videos about canes, and people have always been like, should I not? And I'm like always like, if why don't you just go ahead and talk to one, or just go through the training? Because even if you don't necessarily use it right away, you never know when you might need it. Any situation can arise that, especially for people that are night blind.
Yeah.
If you don't use it, like I have had people just say, oh, I just don't go out at night. But sometimes you have to. So it's always good to have that like as a tool in your back pocket that you can pull out. And Mike, actually, I have a little question. This has been something that me and a few other people in the blind community have been talking about. What is your personal favorite when it comes to type of cane?
Type of cane.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different brands out there, and the one that I probably have the most experience with and I give to my clients the most often is the Ambutech folding canes. That's what I learned in school. That's what we used in school. That's what I've been giving out. That's what my organization uses.
Graphite or aluminum?
All right, so that's a good question. So most of the time, I like to give out graphite. Graphite's lighter, but it's more expensive. So it depends on kind of finances too. Aluminum's a little heavier. Some people think it's a little more sturdy, but I haven't seen a huge difference with that myself. So I normally recommend graphite. People tend to like it lighter because using a cane gets tiring.
Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing with us about your YouTube and also about this cane conversation. So everybody go check out his channel. I will put his channel right up here so you can subscribe and check it out. And if you want to see the rest of the blind and visually impaired YouTuber spotlight videos, you can click right here. And as always, definitely subscribe and hit the bell for more videos on technology and encouragement for people who are blind and visually impaired. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.